I was 16 years old many years ago. And we have hunters that come here from around the world to hunt our Boone and Crockett trophy animals. We also have the rainbow trout, German brown, also. What's the impact going to be on us losing those people who come here, spend a lot of money here to come hunting here? We're going to be impacted by that. And that area, I can already see what you're going to do to it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear your concerns. I can't say that I disagree with you. I mean, we will put contractual obligations in place for the builders and the people that go out there. I don't think that there will be traffic. You know, nobody can disagree with that to get up to the site. I don't think that, you know, they're going to drive up and do their work. They'll probably shuttle vans from this side with the workforce. Once the trucks get up there and the equipment, it's going to be vans, and we're going to do what's required to minimize that. And if there's restrictions on how that travel happens, that's something that's totally appropriate, again, to put in there. Like the mine, I mean, like I work all around the country. Having a carpool spot at the turnoff of 93 where the vans pick up and people can't drive personal cars and you limit the traffic, that's something that is totally acceptable and understandable. And if those restrictions are there, I think that's appropriate, you know?
Can I add to kind of what you said?
Yes.
Is this true? Have you guys tried this project in other states and got refused?
No.
Okay.
I will say that, as I mentioned before, my company is developing, we have roughly 40 projects with solar, batteries, wind, and pump storage in 16 states. All of those projects are moving forward. All of them we do with local ranchers and farmers because they put economic investment back in, and generally everybody is supportive in those 16 states and wherever they are. On the pump storage side, we have 9 projects, I think, in active development in 9 different states, and they're at various stages of development, but none of them have been denied or turned down or not able to move forward.
Nor passed.
We're still very early. We just started the development 2 years ago, and it's a 5 or 6 year development phase before you can even start construction.
Brings up another question I have. When will we, or when's the next meeting? When will we get some solid answers? Because everything I've heard today is conjecture or speculation. If this happens, we might do that. We could do this. We might have a man camp. We might expand this road. And we were never notified as residents of Duck Creek. We were never notified of this meeting.
Why?
I would think there should be notification.
We made attempts to publish this as much as possible.
Not to me.
No, I recognize that. I recognize that.
I gotta post
I
on-
recognize that. And I will take.
What attempts did you make specifically?
Well, we reached out to the newspaper. We reached out to the Facebook page.
What does that mean, reach out?
We tried to place ads, and I think we actually did place ads.
They
And-
would accept it.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Hard questions now, you asked for them.
And I'm going to
You
answer the
asked for
question.
them.
How did we publish this? We did a terrible job. We did a terrible job. I did a terrible job. You know how, it was only until I talked to Commissioner Howe, who didn't know that this was happening on Friday, the commissioner didn't know it was happening on Friday, that he said, I'll take your posters that you put in the newspaper and I'll go to the Rotary Club, the Chamber, and so that's why at the beginning I thanked him, because we did a bad job of it, I admit. And if we have a mailing list or something, we will make sure that on the next one we do a much better job of notifying the public. So we will do that, and I clearly take that on. We have tried to do that. To answer your question on more solid facts, it's a process of elimination. Every step of engineering we do narrows those questions down, and the next big activity we're working on is to do this geotech borehole sampling, and that will narrow a lot of the questions down. And we won't have the results for that activity probably for 8 months, if we're lucky. So we're going to drill 4 boreholes that are 4 inches deep, and then we won't have the full impact and report from an engineering perspective for probably 8 months.
So will we have another town meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. And if there's any other development that occurs in between, and what we would like to do is come out on a quarterly basis and say, nothing's changed, but this is still the questions, or this is what's changed. We want to do that, but we're taking steps, and I think, one step that we took was getting the water rights, because that was a really important thing for the project. No water, no project, right? So we're taking their steps, and each step is to try and to answer questions, alleviate issues, and address concerns.
Well, you haven't bought the water rights yet.
No, we just have a
reserved it.
licensed reservation for it, yeah,
So
absolutely.
there's probably gonna be a fight there.
Well, we're not trying to buy the water, again,
Yeah, but you're taking, whatever you wanna do, lease it, borrow it, whatever.
Yeah.
The water's coming out of our aquifer, going to your project. When I was in West Texas, I sat on another meeting just like this for the wind energy. And those poor folks down there, they got no money. They're dirt poor West Texas people. They bought it. They bought into it. And the people standing up like you're standing up, not saying that you're doing this, what they did was they promised best final offer. My brother and I said, no, we're not interested in it. 3 months later, they came back, triple the price on us. We still turned it down. It was snake oil. It was just all fluff and snake oil. And that's what it sounds like to me that you folks are trying to put on this community. It really does. It's all what we are doing for this, when you guys are gone, you're gonna take your money and you're gonna hook it. And you're gonna leave this community bones, bare bones.
I'm sorry for your experience with people, with
Doesn't matter.
developers.
You
and-
guys are doing the same thing.
Well,
You guys,
I
out of $2.3 billion?
I disagree with you, sir, and what I'd like to
I
say
know
is,
you do.
again, we have 40 projects. We're building a solar project in Carbon County, Utah right now. For the first time in 125 years, they haven't pulled coal out of Carbon County, Utah. First time in 125 years. We're building a solar project today, and it will start generating $300,000 in new tax
Is that
revenue.
subsidized by the government?
It'll start creating $300,000 of new tax revenue starting next year for
Is
the
it
county.
subsidized by the government?
It has a tax credit
So
available.
we're paying for that.
Well, so does oil wells, but let's not get into a debate about this.
Why not?
We work with,
You asked for it, man.
okay, well, if you want, do you guys want to have this debate?
You asked for it.
Yes, sir.
This isn't part of that, but I was thinking about this, your ponds, they're approximately a half mile long, aren't they? To be like 64 and 80-something acres. So we got this pond sitting up there, and no doubt it'll have to be lined, is that correct?
It'll be made waterproof, yes.
Yeah, it'd have to be lined. So we can't have any animals in there or anything, or they puncture holes in the lining, correct?
Well, it's gonna have to be fenced.
Right, with an 8-foot fence because of the elk. So we got this half a mile, 8-foot fence going up all the way around there. I'm just thinking about the visual effects and the effects on the mountain with this, I mean, you mentioned that, gee, this would be a nice site for people on the night skies to look at this nice pond with an 8-foot perimeter fence around it. I'm just picturing this. And then to line a pond like that, I'm just thinking about whether you'd have residual seepage anyway and whether that's been worked into the equation. I mean, you said there's a certain amount of evaporation loss. Is there also a certain amount of loss to the ground?
That's all part of the engineering,
That's done.
how they do the roller compaction and what material they
Okay.
use to make sure that the reservoirs don't leak.
Yeah, that's my own.
And we just don't, we don't have that level of stuff yet.
Thank you.
I just wanted to mention, if you put your email address there, we can add anybody to the stakeholder email list on the FERC licensing process. Meetings like this is a separate thing, that'd be a separate mailing list, but if you want to be kept notified automatically of filings related to FERC, and you've given your email address, we can do that if you want, so.
This area, I think it's probably this question. 5 months ago, this project was on our agenda at the Regional Planning Commission on the 17th of February. Nobody showed up.
Yeah, they said that they pulled it. We wanted, We were hoping at that meeting, we had put together a special use permit and a development service agreement for the project to outline some of the obligations that we've been talking about here.
Yeah, we've been wondering where you guys went.
Well, I think it was Brad Christensen. Is he here? Because I know I've met with him a few times. But he was retiring and he was on leave, and he was the one that we submitted all the documents to, and we talked with the county attorney, and they felt like it wasn't in a position because of the county structure to move that forward. We're ready to take it up again anytime.
Okay, that explains a lot, thank you.
Well,
And I don't mind having the debate, I just don't want it to be about personal integrity. I don't mind having the
I
debate.
don't know you. I don't know
understand
about
that.
your personal integrity.
I know,
I
but-
just know I've sat through these before and I see what we're gonna do for the community. How many hydrogeologists are in this town?
Well-
You know, and you're saying 200 or 300 construction people in this town? No, you're not. No, you're not. You're going out of state to get those guys. You're going out of town to get those guys. So don't feed these guys a bunch of bull. That's basically what it is. And you know it. You've done this a bunch of times.
Again, sir, you're
I know.
questioning my integrity, but aside from that, you don't know me. And you're making accusations that aren't true.
So you're guaranteeing
I-
these people, you're gonna hire 200 or 300
I will
local construction
guarantee you,
people.
I will guarantee you here and everybody here that every best effort will be made to hire as much as
Every
possible.
best effort.
Well, here, listen to me, because
Go
you
ahead.
want to walk away and you don't
Go
want to
ahead.
listen to the answer after you make the accusation.
Go ahead.
We built a project in southern Utah in Cedar City in Parowan. Does anybody know what the little town of Parowan is? Yeah. So I built a project, I worked on it for 10 years. And my mantra with that project was I want to build this project in the state, by the state, and for the state. Right? That was my mantra, in the state, by the state, and for the state. We made commitments and we went with the county, with everybody in the state. That project that we built, which was the first solar project in Utah to be built, 100 megawatts, we used 93% local sourced resources, 93%. Everything. We didn't bring in, we brought in a global construction contractor because you have to bond a project like this from out of state because there's nothing available here. But we did everything. The project that I just mentioned in Carbon County right now, I think we're at like 90% local hire. You're welcome to call the county commissioners. You're welcome to call the BODEC, the electrical engineers. In any project area that I've done business, and you can ask them how I do business. So I have no problem having you check my integrity by you calling a county commissioner in Iron County or in Carbon County or in any other place that I built a project because I think it's important.
I'll do that.
So test my integrity by calling the county commissioner in one of those counties.
Thank you.
What's your primary voltage that you plan on generating?
345.
well, the generators are at 13.5 kV, I think, kilovolts. And then it stepped up to 345 at the switch yard on the surface. And then we're good.
The leisure switch yard is 345.
Yes.
So we've had a very lively discussion today. Yes.
It says that White Pine has an important location in the state's existing and to be expanded. Is this going to get bigger?
No, not the project. We're talking about the transmission lines that are planned. So the NV Energy's GreenLink North will be built from Robinson Summit going west in the late 2020s. And then, so that's one new line, big line that will be built. And then the SWIP North line, which is equal in size, I would say better than 50-50 chance that would be built from Robinson Summit going north. So that would mean 3 500 kV lines coming into Robinson Summit, which makes it really, strategic. Right now, the line that's there now is still pretty big. It by itself would not be sufficient to handle a project of this size. But with the planned upgrades, at least GreenLink West, then we're good to go. So That's what we were referring to in terms of expansion. This project, at 1,000 megawatts, there's no plan to go any bigger than what it is, and we can always go smaller when we're filing these documents, because downsizing is easy, because then your impacts are smaller. But we can't go bigger, because then you have to go back and study everything again.
I just didn't know if it was, if this is successful, will you put in more?
In other parts of the state, maybe, and in other states, like we talked about, we have 9 in development, but
Not in this
not
area.
here.
Question on alternatives, when you do your environmental assessment, EIS, they'll probably ask for alternatives. And you've already demonstrated moving the railroad tracks, it's good. But the main objection, I think, coming from this room is that we don't want it in our backyard. So have you looked at other sites around the county? Why is this the only place you can set up?
The BLM asked that question because they, like you said, they normally propose different alternatives. So I created a map that explained what is unique about this particular area, and then why that particular upper reservoir location is distinctively different from anything else along the range. And I've obsessively gone over the maps and look at alternatives. I mean, you want to find the best possible location. So we would make the case that as far as the location of fundamental features, that's the alternative. If there are specific features, like maybe routing of a particular access road or something that we have to put in there, that's potentially possible. But I would say, we would argue that pump storage sites are so unique in terms of their requirements. Like a solar project, you could kind of move it 10 miles this way, 5 miles this way. I'm saying it's not unlimited flexibility, but pump storage is so specific. We're pretty much converging on what the workable location is looking like.
Well, again, this has been a very lively discussion. Hopefully we've answered most of the questions. I'm sure that there will be other questions that come as a result of, conversations and discussions. We are always open to answer those questions. We will, do better at advertising the next time we do one of these meetings, and we would love it if, next time we do it, we get more people and you guys can tell people, because we really want to be transparent with this process. I think for today, we've probably wound up most of the questions that are out there, but we will be back. We will answer questions. We will do more of these town hall kind of meetings, and then, like Matthew said, we'll make sure that to those who gave emails, we'll send out updates on the stuff, and then updates will be made available on the website as well, so you can also access that for looking for updates. It's a slow process. I mean, it's not like next week we're going to have big updates. It's probably 2 or 3 months before we have anything that's changed from what we know today, just by the nature of this, 3 or 4 year process. It's patience. It's time. It's knocking down one topic at a time, and one issue. And even though we're knocking down, we're approaching 15 different items, it's still one item at a time that we try to resolve. So thank you guys. I really appreciate everybody's time on a Thursday afternoon. I know it's a lot of your guys' day and taking the personal time. Take as many of these water bottles you want. Give them to your kids. We'll save them and bring them next time. So if you don't take them, you're just going to see them here on the next two meetings. Thank you.
Well, it makes more sense to do it north-south. I think it was always something like that. Maybe.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chachas reporting.